Good morning, children. I hope you have seen the previous video of the Constitution, and we have already completed the Constitution also, children. And you have already, given you the examples of the different conventions given in the Constitution of, UK and USA. That means in the British and American Constitution, what are the conventions? And everyone knows, children, what do you mean by conventions? That means it is in political. It is the political habit, children. This the thing which is usually done. That means all these process sort of a law is already been adopted by the power holders, right? So that they can use it according to their own convenience, and obviously they can use it for the welfare of the public, children. So I hope so all these conventions you already heard and you have already understood, right? So here in this video I'm going to start with a new chapter known by the name of franchise and representation. Children, franchise, universal adult franchise, right? The manner of voting given to the public, children. So this chapter is not at all difficult. We just have to be listen in depth. And plus, children, here this chapter we've already done in the chapter Constitution also in class 9th, and plus in class 10th as well, where we have touched the little portion about it, right? So here in this chapter we will going to be we're going to do in depth what is franchise and representation. Franchise, the manner of voting, right? So let's start now. So here, franchise and suffrage. Before that, children, I'm going to explain you about many things before it. What is it all about? See, if you see, contemporary age is the age of democracy. That means we really mean the age of indirect democracy or representative democracy. Like before coming to this chapter, you need to be clear about the democracy and what kind of democracy is being working in all over the world, right? The countries which have adopted democracy, right? So they are working through representative democracy, right? Due to several reasons. Now people now find it very difficult to implement a system of direct democracy. They feel compelled to accept a system of governance by the elected representatives as the best available democratic system. Right, children? Almost all democratic states are representative democracies under which the people elect their representatives who form the legislative and executive organs of the government. Children, don't get confused. What do you mean by representative democracy? That means here the people elect their representatives who form the legislative and executive organs of the government. The power of the state of the people is exercised by the elected representatives of the people. The people rule through their elected representatives, and it is regarded as a self-rule of the people. Elections are regularly held in every democratic state, and these are always contested by political parties who find their respective candidates in elections. Right, children? So I'm going to explain you now. You people have already understood now before that key contemporary age. That means modern age is the age of democracy, and we are here. Democracy, now democracy. If we are here, if we are living in democratic government, children, we have to face the elections now. The parties have to face the election, be it direct or indirect one. So best part of democracy is the representative democracy. That means public elected their representatives, and those through their representatives they simply control the government. Why? Because they have chosen their representatives, and their representatives are there in the houses of the parliament, and obviously on their behalf they can present their views and the ideas, children. So now let's come on to franchise, and before that you need to be aware about these words. What do you mean by franchise and suffrage, right? That means the meaning. Now let's see now. What do you mean by that? Elections of representatives is the necessity of every democracy, everyone knows, children. For this purpose, the people of the state enjoy the right to franchise. Franchise means the right to vote. Always remember, children, I again repeat, franchise means the right to vote. Suffrage means the right to vote in public elections. People of a democratic state have the right and freedom to elect their representatives by the use their right to franchise. Franchise means right to vote. They have the right of representation by their elected representatives, right? Next, franchise means right to vote in public elections. Now, the people of the state who enjoy the right to franchise constitute the electorate, right, children? The system in which the people cast their votes for electing representatives is called election. Right, children? The system of electing representatives by the people and exercise of political power by the elected representatives is called representation. Right? So I again repeat now. The people of the state enjoy the right to franchise. That means right to vote. Suffrage means the right to vote in public election. Then the people of a democratic state have the right and freedom to elect their representatives by the use of their right to franchise. They have the right of representation by the elected representatives. Now, election, this means the system by which the people cast their votes for electing representatives is called election. Representation means the system of electing representatives by the people, exercise of political power by the elected representatives. So, before coming to these, representation, the democracy, you need to be aware about these words, like through which the elections takes place, what a franchise, what a suffrage, right? What do you mean by representation, right, children? All this you need to be aware. What do you mean by electorate? That means, okay. So I hope so people have understood ki what do you mean by the election, the representation, the suffrage, and plus next the meaning of franchise, children. So let's continue now. Now, the electorate. What do you mean by electorate, children? In every state, not all the people but all adults enjoy the right to vote. This we know, children. All the voters together constitute the electorate. They participate in the elections held for electing the representatives of the people. The right to vote, that means the right to franchise or suffrage, is available only to persons who have attained a minimum fixed age and who satisfy some other qualifications which are prescribed by law. The electorate, that means the body of all people who have the right to vote, elects the representatives of the people. Since every citizen of the state usually becomes a voter after attaining a particular age, the electorate is considered eligible to elect the representatives of all people. In simple words, if you say, children, we can record that electorate is a collective name of all the people who enjoy the right to vote, suffrage in the state. It includes both the men and women. Even transgender who are adult enjoy the right to vote in election. Further, the voters above a particular age, usually above 21 or 25 years of age, are eligible to contest election and become the representatives of the people after winning an election, children. I hope so people have understood what you mean by electorate. That means the collective identity of all voters of the state. That means all the voters together constitute the electorate. They participate in the elections held for electing the representatives of the people. That means the right to vote, or else you call it as a right to franchise or suffrage, is available only to the person who have attained a minimum fixed age and who satisfy some other qualification which are prescribed by law. Now here the electoral, that says the body of all the people who have the right to vote, children, elect the representatives of the people. I hope so people have understood. Now next, importance of suffrage and franchise, children. Let's see now what is the importance now, children. So suffrage means the right to vote or right to franchise or simply right to vote in public election. When the people are given the right to elect their representatives through the exercise of the ballot, that means vote, they are designated as electorate and their right to vote is described as suffrage or franchising. Suffrage means the enjoyment of the right to elect representatives through a free exercise of vote. It can also be described as a legal right of the people to elect representatives through the use of their right to franchise. Right, children, let's come to importance of suffrage now. Without suffrage, that means without the people enjoying the right and freedom to vote for electing their representatives, there can be no democracy. Without a system of election, there can be no democracy, and without electorate, there can be no election. As such, the right to vote constitutes the backbone of every modern democratic system. In democracy, the people are sovereign, they hold the supreme power. It is exercised by them through the exercise of their right to vote. Through suffrage, they determine who shall represent them and who will not, who will exercise authority of the government on their behalf. It is also through the exercise of this right that people can change their representatives after regular intervals. The system of self-governance get implemented through the exercise of governmental power by the duly elected representatives of the people. As such, in every modern democracy, the rule of the people really means the rule of the elected representatives of the people. The representatives of the people are freely elected by the electorate. A universal practice has been to grant the right to vote to all the people above a certain age, 18 years or 21 years, who are legally admitted as adults. This principle is known as universal adult franchise. It stands defined as a principle of granting the right to vote to all men and women above a certain minimum age and without, any discrimination on the basis of caste, color, creed, place of birth, property, and even education, children. I hope so you people have understood about importance of suffrage and franchise, right, children? So here in simple word we can define franchise as a right of the people to vote in election for choosing representatives. And again, if I repeat, the importance of suffrage means without suffrage, without the people enjoying the right and freedom to vote for electing their representatives, there can be no democracy. Without a system of election, there can be no democracy, and without electorate, there can be no election. As such, the right to vote constitutes the backbone of every modern democratic system. Let's move on to another slide now, children. Now, let's come to universal adult franchise. The principle of universal adult suffrage has now received a universal acceptance in all democratic states as the best example of giving the right to vote to the citizen of the state. This principle stands for the grant of right to vote, franchise or suffrage to all adult citizens, both men and women, also transgenders. Further, universal adult franchise stands for giving the right to vote to all citizens without any discrimination. Only a minimum age qualification is to be fixed. In contemporary times and in all democratic states, all men and women of 18 or 20 or 21 years and above enjoy the right to vote. In India, all citizens who are adults who are 18 years or above of age have the right to vote. So is the case in America, in Britain, Canada, Australia, in fact, all the democratic states, children. Further, while no property, educational qualification are fixed for granting the right to vote, it is a universal practice to deny the right to vote to minors, criminals, bankrupts, mentally unsound people, and some others who have earned their disqualification for one reason or the other. Minors are denied the right to vote till they attain adulthood. When they cross a legally fixed adulthood age, as for example in India, when they attain the age of 18 years, they get the franchise. India has a population of more than 125 crores and the number of persons enjoying the right to vote more than at 80 crores, and it is progressively increasing, children. So obviously people have already heard. And in India, if you see the elections and the manner, the data, the statistics and everything, children, so here with the help of all these things, the democracy is still progressing. It's keep on progressing. And in the upcoming, maybe in coming times, children, we have more modernized system of elections, children. So I hope so people have understood before coming to the constitution, before after hearing about the constitution, before that various states, liberal democratic states, totalitarian state, authoritarian states, and all these states, you people have already understood what is there in class 12, children. We don't have much, but still all these things, all these words are being given in details, all these terms are being given in detail. Though we were knowing that what is universal adult franchise, we are knowing that what is franchise or suffrage, but here we have to read in depth, and plus we have to compare all these things with the American and British constitution. What are their rules and regulations and conventions which they are following, children? So don't get confused. It's all these things we have already studied. It's only in class 10 it's being given in depth, children. So this way we are coming to the end of the video, children. Just listen to this video attentively, children, and clear all your doubts. So till then, thank you.